Which button do I push? Oh, there it is. International reach, readability, nostalgia, and portability. A lot of folks do SOTA and POTA, and you don't want to have to drag a 12-volt car battery on your back at 50 pounds of radio. Or how much does yours weigh, you said, with the big transformer?
Oh God, I think it's about 80 pounds.
Yeah, 80 pounds. Yeah, just drag 100 pounds on your back up Long's Peak. But a lot of folks, obviously, do we have SOTA and POTA operators here? Okay, good. Right, if you're hiking somewhere, you want the least amount of weight with you, right? In fact, you'd rather have more weight of water than of ham equipment, probably. Yeah?
The rule of thumb when it comes to hiking SOTA, you can carry, or you can take it, but you got to carry it.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to repeat it for our visitors at home.
The rule of thumb when it comes to SOTA, or any kind of backpacking or hiking, you can take it, but you got to carry it.
Yeah. And one thing too, you have to, even if you're beginning, if you're the hunter and you're trying to work an operator, they have to make it's 10 contacts, right, for an activation. Yeah. And if you're number 9 or number 10, they're going to hang in with you till they get you in the log. And if you could send your call sign 5NN and what else you have to send, state CO and TU, you can make contacts and so forth. And someone said, well, we're supposed to send an honest signal report. I just say, don't work anybody that's not 599. And it's right? If you don't think they're 599, move on and find somebody else to work. So, but there's a lot of reasons. This is Jim N0IPA. He's down in Salida or somewhere. He does a lot of SOTA and POTA. And so, got their picture here. Why learn it? Well, it's fun. And there's you join sort of a secret club if you know Morse code, right? Low power and modest antennas in poor signal conditions. And of course, it's the original operating mode. And usually they figure kind of a rule of thumb is CW is about 10 times better than sideband. You can measure it with decibels, which I don't think anyone really understands decibels, or just it seems to punch through. And you're only listening for one tone, like around 500 hertz, 700 hertz, somewhere in there. The human voice has quite a range. I don't even know what the range is from a lowest tone to a highest tone. But you have to hear that if you're listening to sideband, which chops it up a lot anyway. With Morse code, you're just listening for one tone. It's either there or not. So it's a lot easier in some respects to hear what's going on. Did I miss one? Nope. What are we saying in Morse code? Messages can be simple, like the SOTA and POTA exchanges and contest exchanges, or they can be conversational. You can have a short, or just what I mentioned. Is that me or you? So how to?
That won't make it on the video.
Oh, or a standard QSO is you exchange the RST, QTH, then the second exchange, maybe talk about your rig, antenna, and weather, and a polite goodbye. And I tell folks when they're first getting on the air, if you can't copy what their rig is, you mess it up. Do you really care what their rig is? If you don't, you can move on. If you're working, QRP, you might want to know what their rig is, and you can just say rig again, or like I say, move on. It's just like any conversation. If you're chatting to someone you'd never met before in the elevator, and you didn't quite catch what they said, right? You either have to say, yeah, can you say that again? Or you go, have a nice day, and move on. There's no requirement that you have to have perfect copy. There's a sample over here of how this might work out if you copied it down. Particularly in CW, there's a lot of abbreviations that we use and stuff which you have to learn. And sometimes that's the harder part. You've copied down what was sent, but you can't figure out what it meant. You might have had perfect copy, but what's this mean? I always blame the other guy who has a bad fist if I can't figure it out. But anyway, these are what it might look like. This is the big question, is it hard to learn Morse code? Well, it takes a commitment of time, but it's achievable. Basic proficiency maybe about 4 months to get on the air. I'll explain what our teaching methodology is with the Long Island CW Club, but it's not necessary to spend years and years studying before you get on the air. In fact, the goal is to get you on the air making QSOs at 12 words a minute. So I'll repeat that, get you on the air making QSOs at 12 words a minute. And there's plenty of things you can do at 12, 13, 14 words a minute. There's lots of people looking for contacts at that speed. You don't have to be doing 20 words a minute, 35, 50 words a minute to make QSOs. To really be fluent, you're probably looking about a year of regular practice. And if you want to be a master, it can take several years. But they say the journey's rewarding. I mentioned I'm just considering myself a casual CW operator. I'm not a contester. I don't try to break DX pileups. And there's a lot of stuff you can do without having to head copy 50 words a minute or 35 words a minute. It's just whatever you want to do. And I'm still paper oriented. What is it? Dan? Yeah. He was talking earlier about fluency and head copy, and that's great, but you don't have to do that to get on the air. You can start out pretty simple, because you do a lot of conversational stuff, probably 35,
Yes.
40 words a minute.
I'm an FOC member, so our whole charter is about proficiency and operating 25 words a minute or greater, unless we're asked to QRS, which we're happy to do. QRS means please send slower. So a lot of guys are well able to do that. And when it comes to time, it's really like anything else in life. It depends on how much time you wish to go ahead and put into it. So it could be 4 months if you take it on a weekly basis, I suppose. To me, if you practice 20 minutes a day, every day, you will be proficient in CW to the point of QSO easily within a month, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it really depends on how much time you want to spend on this. I sometimes get questions from a guy who's a doctor or a lawyer saying, gee, is this something I can learn? You're a doctor and a lawyer, for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean? You should be able to go ahead and learn CW. It's not as hard as what you just went through.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun to operate, and your brain is the decoding mechanism. Don't use mechanical means to decode these signals. The charm is being able to be proficient in your head.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just like anything. If you're a musician, there's some people that barely can play the guitar, and there's some people that, are at not Madison Square Gardens. What's the big place in New York where the musicians play? Or is it Madison Square Garden?
Philharmonic Hall.
Or what? Anyway, but there's a whole range of people, and they all enjoy playing the musical instrument. Same with Morse code. You can just be a casual operator, or you can be an expert in the FOC First Class Operators Club. Yeah. So it's whatever you want. So we kind of have what we call the Long Island CW Club method for teaching. So we kind of introduce based on this Koch method. This was a German psychologist or something from back in the 30s that did a lot of studies now. Best to teach Morse code. And of course they wanted to teach it for military use because that was the main communication in the Second World War. But we introduced code at 12 words a minute. Any slower than that, and you're going to be tempted to dissect the letters into the individual elements. 12 is kind of the baseline where you hear it as a complete acoustic sound. And that's how we want to teach it. We want you to hear a complete acoustic sound and not try to dissect it into the individual elements, the dits and das. So that's the focus. We have the character sequences based on the QSO protocol. We have our beginners level are called BC, beginners carousel. They're called a carousel because we just repeat them over and over. We introduce 3 characters a week for 6 weeks. So there's 18 characters after 6 weeks. These are the most used characters in typical CW QSOs. So we're going to introduce those first and give you the most practice on them.
They don't no longer do the EISH5, TMO0, ANR carry 1,
No,
LFUD9?
it's all different. They took a QSO down and did a frequency count of the letters, and that's how they're being introduced.
I see.
So there's a method to the madness. Then the next set class is BC2, Beginners Carousel 2. That's, again, 3 characters a week, this time for 9 weeks. So when you're all done, there's 44 characters. You've got the letters, the numbers, some pro signs, and some punctuation. Get you there. So you have 44 characters. And then the third class is BC3, which says, okay, now you know how to make letters and words, so what do you actually say in the QSO? And they go through the typical protocol of exchanges, the SST is slow speed contest exchange, SOTA and POTA exchanges. It's about 6 weeks working through the other exchanges. We teach these classes every day of the week. We have a BC1 every day. Sometimes we have 2 classes a week. And we teach the same character set all week, Monday through Sunday. We teach the same 3 characters, so if you miss a class on Monday, you can go on Wednesday. If you want to go to all 7 classes, you certainly can. Once you're a member, you can go to any and all of the classes. And technically that's not true because we have a lot taught at 3 times. We teach over Zoom. We have the Zoom rooms. And so a lot of times we have Zoom A, B, and C. So a lot of times there's classes running parallel and so forth. And you can go around and around the carousel as much as you want. If you miss something, it'll come around in whatever number of weeks it's on, or you can work on it on your own. So, yeah, I think that's it. Let's see here. So this is kind of our academic flow. We have, when you first join, you'll get a welcome letter, Groups.io. If you sign up for that, set up a separate folder all these emails go to. You'll be getting, you didn't realize you had 6,000 new friends who were sending you 80 emails a day, but have a separate folder. We have some quick start videos and classes, and we have a class on the resources and the teaching methods. So again, Beginner's Flow BC1, we have BC sending classes, guided practice, open practice, and we keep working all through the BC series. Then you can go into intermediate where we work at fluency at 12 words a minute, start head copying at 12 to 16, and advanced classes work you up to 35 to 45 words a minute. So we have a whole series of classes you can progress through, and it's whatever you want to do. I often tell my students, you know, if you previously knew Morse code but haven't used it for a while, you can do BC1 and BC2 at the same time. You know, work on 6 characters a week. It's whatever you want, whatever makes sense to you. But that's the basic flow. Any questions on that? This is kind of important, and I went through it fairly quickly, but I don't want to bore you with too many details.
For when each of these things up on a website so people can see when each
Yes.
of these? Okay.
Yeah. And you can download, they have a file you can download and push into your own Google Calendar or other calendars so you can see what you want. So, but like I said, they're taught every day of the week. Yeah.
So for a guy that knows structured QSOs, like I do POTA all the time, but try and get me into a conversation and I'm just lost, where's a good place to jump in on there?
Well, just
Like I can do POTA at 25 words a minute, no
Yeah.
problem, but a conversation
you
is
could
impossible.
start in intermediate. I'd say go in and sit and see if you remember. You could, if you just started out day 1, know nothing, you can sit on the advanced class. Just let the instructor know you're just listening, you're auditing, and so forth, so they won't call on you. Okay, now send that back at 30 words a minute. You know, but you can go to any classes and check it out, so you can kind of find out where you feel comfortable. And every class is taught live. You know, so you have a live instructor there who, you know, tries to adjust things to the students there, so you can let them know where you are and what you want to work on. Particularly, we have these guided practice classes. These are just kind of open-ended classes where you can go in if you're having a problem. I'm having a hard time with these letters or something. The instructor can work with you. We were going to call it office hours, but it sounded a little too professorial for us to have office hours, but it's something like that. So you can visit with an instructor and work on stuff. So we have quite a bit. In fact, we have, yeah.
Do you have to be a member of the Long Island CW Club to use these facilities right there?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, but you can use our practice page without being a member. Did I mention how many classes a week? We have 165 classes a week, so there's plenty to keep you busy. But that's the basic academic flow. Just a little bit about the club. It was founded in 2018 because their group wanted more CW operators for field day. I think in 2017 they had like 2 show up, you know, and you get twice as many points for CW. So, the original goal was 50 members just in the Long Island area. Well, COVID came along, and so they started teaching over Zoom, and the whole thing just sort of snowballed. I was mentioning, I forget to who, it's not like they had a business plan, right? If you start something up, we're going to have 6,000 students in 4 years, you know, and make this much. It just kind of kept growing. So they have over 6,000 members in all 50 states, 60 countries around the world. We teach in Spanish. We have classes, the whole series of classes taught in Spanish because we have a lot of folks from South America, Central America interested. It's 165 classes in English and Spanish. So it's like more successful than they dreamed. Like I said, Howard, who started this off, just wanted to get some CW operators for field day, and it's just blossomed. Crazy. Let's see, what's the next slide? Okay, let me,
Question.
yeah,
I was under the impression,
Mike, or I can repeat it too if it's not too long.
I was under the impression CW, I'm under the impression, I don't do it, but
That's
I'm
fine.
under the impression that CW is English only. You're saying you're doing in Spanish?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, we teach the characters in the English language, and I think Spanish has tildes or funny letters. I'm not Spanish speaking. Do we have any Spanish experts in here? But the instructors are native Spanish speakers, so instead of saying, we're now going to copy these 3 characters for 1 minute, they'll say whatever that, you'd say that in Spanish. I don't know how to say it.
I guess I was thinking that CW was something I could talk worldwide with.
You can, but they're going to have to use the 26 letters the way we send them. Other languages like Russian have their own different characters with different CW, what do I want to say, characterizations. And same with the Cyrillic alphabet, the Russian. But everyone's kind of, I mean, English has become the universal language around the world. When I was in high school, they told us we should learn French because that's the language of the diplomats. Now everybody speaks English wherever you go in Europe or anything. So it's still done in English. And of course, with foreigners, you use the Q signals. You know, you're probably familiar with QSO. You use a lot more of that kind of stuff.
So you'll
Yeah,
I mean, you'll hear QSOs in Spanish on sideband.
yeah,
And the same deal on code.
yeah.
But most everybody is homed in on English, and
Yeah.
you know, people in South America are learning
Right.
a little bit of English to
Yeah.
get by.
Or at the end of their QSOs, they may say "Gracias, amigo,"
Sure.
instead, you know, or something.
There's a few different ways that, you know, like you're right. Most of the actually 99% of the QSOs are actually in English. Occasionally you run across some other language, rare, because then you try to copy it and you say, none of this is making sense to me. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. But then you're right. The way to finish it off sometimes is Italian would be ciao maybe, or if you're talking to a Russian, it's DSW.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of different sign-off techniques with
Yeah.
people. But the language we use is English
Yeah.
for Morse code.
And we use a lot of abbreviations. I know the millennials think they invented it with texting, like they're so smart. No, since the 1920s, hams have been using abbreviations. TU, thank you. GA, good afternoon. Stuff like that. So that's been going. Let me stop here just real quick. Could you bring up the website? Yeah. So if this is our website, it's just longislandcwclub.org, longislandcwclub.org. And we have someone was asking about the calendar. We have the calendar up here. And if you just want to scroll slowly to the bottom, and we'll come back up. So we have a lot of stuff here. Oh, there's the member count, 6,385. And so we have a lot of stuff on here of interest. You can kind of keep going. And so there's more stuff, videos, podcasts. So this is kind of a place to start. So, in fact, just down right here. Many have probably seen that where the CW surpassed the textures on a Jay Leno. This is probably 20 years old now, but it's kind of fun. So if you roll back up to the top of the page, a lot of this stuff, all the way to this bar, yeah. A lot of this stuff is available here. We have downloads and stuff, your YouTube channel. And over here, the Morse practice page, I don't know if you want to point that one out, and you can go from there, you can link to it here. This is what we use for teaching, and I often think it's very ironic. When I learned code, we had something called a 33 1/3 RPM record. You might have seen those in a museum. Yeah, or the cassette tapes. No one knows what a cassette tape is. Yeah, you've heard about it. You heard about it. We had cassette tapes, and after you played it a dozen times, you were copying 100%. You thought you were an expert. No, you just memorized it, and so when it was coming, you were copying it down. This is what we use. Like I said, we teach at 12 words a minute. If you could match me there, you can set the character speed and the effective speed here. But if you roll up a little bit, this is how we set it up. So if you're a student, if you want to click student, I'm putting him to work. Student, it's already picked BC1. These are the order you're asking, the order we teach them in. It depends what week you start, but that's the order. If you want to click the first one, REA, then we have the different lessons. You can click REA familiarity. We go through this if you're a student. No, right here. Sorry. And click familiarity. And then if you roll down, I'm not going to go through this to teach you. I'm just kind of showing you. You can play with it. Oh, this is available to anyone. You don't have to be a member of the club to access our teaching tool. It obviously has play. If you click on reveal, we call these cards, and when you click reveal, it flips them over so you can see what it is. We also have shuffle. If you click on that, it'll create a new order. You can unshuffle, shuffle again, and it's another order. So it becomes virtually impossible to memorize, I suppose. And that's why I said I think it's kind of ironic. Now that we have some excellent computer-based tools to teach the code, there's no commercial need to learn it, and there's no amateur need to learn it either. And so it's like, finally, we can make teaching better. But anyway, this is the tool we use, and like I said, anyone can use it. I won't go through the lessons, but that's what Joe does for his homework. We give you homework assignments, and this is the tool you use. And it's designed to run on about any platform. It runs best under the Chrome operating or Chrome web browser. Are you using Chrome? He has to think about it. Firefox. Yeah, it runs under Firefox, Edge, a bunch of, but it's designed or built under Chrome. It runs on about any platform, anything that can run Chrome or a web browser. So cell phones, iPhones, tablets, Chromebooks, PCs, laptops. And you can also download the files if you don't have internet connectivity to take it with you anywhere. So our suggestion is people plan about a half hour a day of practice, but break that into 10-minute sessions or even shorter than that, 5-6-minute sessions when you're starting out. If you spend an hour listening to 3 letters, your first 3 letters, you can spend more time after you get to 9 and 12, more letters. And try to look at, I always tell people, think about the dead time or free time you have during the day. If you're waiting at the doctor's office, take your AirPods with you and spend 5 minutes listening to your letters while you loiter around. If you have a bus ride, a lunch break at work, try to find little gaps of time during the day when you're in on the can even. Take it in there with you and practice. Even code talk, where you say da-da, da, dit. Practice code talking, signs, and stuff like that. Try to get as much total immersion. I guess other side you'd be upside down. But immersion, just to do it, because our goal is, I often tell people, our goal is to teach you not to think. Your goal is to hear it and know it. If you hear da-da and you go, oh, I know that. We did that last week, da-da, da-da. Oh, that's A. You just missed a dozen more letters. And so you have to also learn to drop it. If you don't instantly know it, drop it. And that's why we put a little bit of spacing, if you roll back up, a little bit, just a little more, there. We'll often slow this down on some of the things to put a little bit of spacing, typically called Farnsworth spacing after Russ Farnsworth, a long ago teacher of Morse code, I think with the ALL. So you do have, when you're learning, you have to use your conscious mind for a bit, and so we give you a moment to try to recall it, but the idea is we slowly drive that down. In fact, we have one exercise where it starts sending at 12, but spaced to 8. Then it goes 12 to 10, 12 to 11, 12 to 12, to help you get on there. But the goal is to have you hear it and know it. Just hear it and know it. And that takes the repetition. And I often say, I wish I could tell you if you listen to a letter 100 times, you'll have it, 1,000. I don't know what it is. It just takes repetition. And the only way I've been able to describe this to folks is if you've ever heard a song start, on the PA system or on the radio, I don't know if anyone listens to the radio anymore, and you hear the first 2 or 3 notes, boom, you know that song? You know what I'm talking about? You just know, you may even know the lyrics. Now, you never set out to learn the first 4 or 5 notes of 100 songs or whatever. It just happened because it just soaked in from your conscious to your subconscious mind. It just soaked in and it happened. And that's what you need to do with Morse code. So when you just hear it, you know it, just like someone speaking a foreign language to you. And that just takes the practice. That's all I can say. But if you can squeeze in small sessions, you'll find it's productive. Like we say, maybe a total of a half hour a day, and be consistent. And let's see, is there anything else? Oh, okay. We're back. Thank you. So we have a ton of resources. We have a YouTube channel, newsletter, Facebook, podcasts, Discord. I don't use Discord. Do we have any Discord users in here? Okay. We are on Discord. DMR, we have a Dropbox with a ton of information there. Some people have spent time to find CW in movies and document what it was and what was said. So if you're interested, you can track it down. The last King Kong movie, the one Jack, what's his name from New Zealand, made? Is that his name? That doesn't sound right. I can't think of it. No. Anyway, it's the one there, the kind of the latest one, Skull Island or something. There's a scene there where they're on the boat and they're copying Morse code. What they're sending, if you can look this up, is "Show me the monkey." That's what they said. And ham operator said, "Wait, that was 'Show me the monkey.'" And it was supposed to be some code sent that there was a warrant issued for somebody's arrest or something. Anyway, but I mean, you know, there's movies that use it because usually to send anything significant in code takes a long time, and most moviegoers would be bored to death just to listen to a couple sentences said. So usually it's just gibberish is what they have in the background. But that one they actually sent something. We have the practice page I showed you. You can send Morse code over V-band, over the internet, and a bunch of stuff, academic downloads to explain how we developed this system. Oops. Huh? Okay. But wait, there's more. We have a lot of classes. We have classes for women only, hams with disabilities. We have a haptic device. I think there's a picture coming up for people that can't hear to learn Morse code. We have classes about the national traffic system. We have classes in Europe because they're like 6 hours ahead of us or more. Essential operating subjects. These are pretty good. Kathy. CMG is the last part of her call. She's a big contester, but we have essential operating subjects. So if you decide I want to get CW and you want a call sign that's really good to send in CW, it's not so long, full of Q's and Z's and long letters, they'll show you how to figure that out. And you don't want to end your call sign typically in an E because those get lost a lot of times. So if your call sign, you might think, oh, let me get EEE at the end, thinking that's going to be really quick. They're going to copy that as S probably. You'll never figure out. You're ending just having to send it slower than you would if you actually had real letters. But anyway, they can help you with stuff like that. We have a Code Buddy program, a bunch of stuff. Also, we got a 3D printing group that meets weekly and talks about doing 3D printing and stuff. So it's more than just learning Morse code. It's kind of really got a lot of stuff going on. We have forums on boat anchors on Saturday morning, QRP. DXpeditions, Satellite, SOTA, and POTA, all kinds of forums that are in the schedule. Not every week, but they come up every month. Sometimes the antennas we have. So in addition to Morse code, there's a whole gamut of stuff. And we have over 300 women members. Oh, there's Kathy, W4CMG, that are instructors, moderators.
By the way, Kathy just became FOC.
Okay.
And also another one of your stars is Amanda, KM4 or KY4GS.
Okay.
Fantastic. Both fantastic operators, both FOC.
Yeah. And we have a blind woman that teaches. She's like,
Jenna?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's also FOC.
Okay. Yeah. So we have just a whole gamut of people with different challenges they've worked through to become CW operators that'll work with you. This is the haptic device. I don't fully understand it, but it's for hearing impaired. They can feel the code and be able to copy it. And our website's been optimized for screen readers for use for the visually impaired too. So a group of us, of the 100 instructors, have got and put this forward to make it more accessible to people with various challenges. We even have a kids program. And a lot of these kids take to Morse code like ducks to water. I don't know. But these are small classes all around US, Canada, the UK. And we've taught 600 kids Morse code. Like I said, they come along very quickly, surprisingly. Obviously, it wasn't me. Oh, we have different membership levels. So how much would you pay for this? 1 year is $30. A lifetime is only 90. So we have different levels. So it's not super expensive to get all of this because all of us are volunteer instructors. No one's making any money. No paid staff. Everybody volunteers. And many of those forums and other things are recorded and posted too, so you can watch them later if you can't attend in person. Let's see. Anything else I want to yap about? I think we're almost. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Here's my contact information, my call sign at WB0IXV at ALL.net if you want to call me. And there's the website again. So that's just the highlights. I didn't want to keep you here all morning. But if you're interested, that's the way to go. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Got some questions? We'll start over here. He's got the mic.
Hello. Hello. So I passed my 5 word per minute 100 years ago for my novice and immediately dropped it. I don't know, 3-4 years ago I decided to re-engage and took a class and did a lot of work. Since then time, I've worked 150 countries on CW, confirmed. If you have a average antenna or average radio, it's much more likely to have success. You don't have to be conversational. You just have to be able to recognize your own call sign and reply 599 TU, and boom, you're done.
Well, hopefully you move on from that. At least get through the basic QSO, exchanging name, QTH, signal port, and rig and stuff, and can go from there.
I mean,
but it's where you want to start, is just getting on the air. They talk about key fright, which I'd never heard of. I'd heard of mic fright before, but some people are just afraid to get on the air. So that's why I tell folks, go ahead and get on the air. You're going to make mistakes. I guarantee it when you first get on the air.
Conversational is harder.
Yeah, it
For
takes more
all the
time.
reasons you said, that you don't know what he's going to say next.
Yeah.
And so you got to be alert and catch up if you
Yeah.
fall behind.
And that first QSO is like when you first asked a girl out for a date. I don't know if anyone here is old enough to how nervous you were to make that phone call, That's your first QSO. And I've told some folks, if you're in the middle of it and now you can't remember any of the Morse code you learned, it's like my mind's blank. I can't copy anything. I just say sorry, SRI, no copy, 73 DE in your call sign. You've met the FCC requirement to identify yourself, and they don't know why you have no copy, that you forgot Morse code. You're so nervous.
Even contesting, you can have success. There are some contests that are the 50 word a minute guys.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that are 12, 15. Yeah. You can keep up with them, and you got a minimal exchange, and off you go.
And like I said, the goal is to get you, our club is to get you on the air making QSOs, the basic QSO of 2 or 3 exchanges at 12 words a minute, and go from there up to being conversational at 50 words a minute. But that's the starting point in intermediate and advanced. So there were some other questions? You have to go.
You talked a lot about learning to receive the code. Any comments you want to make about the best way to learn to send a intelligible, readable CW signal?
Yeah. We have CW sending classes, and we recommend you take those concurrently with our learning to copy classes. And it's important. We suggest people start with a straight key because nothing happens until you make it happen. You don't have to worry about sending too many DITs or not enough DAWs. But if you're going to be fast, you're eventually going to want to migrate to paddles. And we have classes that help people transition to the paddles and go through iambic A and B modes and all of that kind of stuff. But we just start with the straight key, but you don't have to. Joe stole that from you.
One quick question.
Oh, sure.
When you decipher the CW, are you looking at each letter or just the words? I assume that there's a little bit more space between words. So do I really need to hear every letter?
You have to interpret if you don't, but normally if you're handwriting, and you can print up to about 10, 15 words a minute, then you're going to have to use something called script. Anybody under the age of 20 has no idea what cursive or script is, and nor can they read it. But after about 15, you can handwrite, or at least I can, pretty good up to 20. At 25, I can't handwrite that fast. It's hard to do. So you either have to just hear it in your head or get good on a keyboard, I guess. But you end up, particularly when you're starting out, you're writing or printing the letters, and there is more space between words. It's so that and mostly they're abbreviations. A few times you'll copy. You love it if the guy's from San Francisco, because by the time you get halfway through writing that out, you know where he's from. But you end up copying. And that's part of the trick too, is you're kind of doing multitasking with your mind, because you're using your mind to copy down what's sending. Then you have to look at it and sort of almost decipher or decode it because you've got abbreviations. And if their spacing is lousy, and it's always their spacing, it's not your copying. If their spacing is lousy, you've got to try to figure out what they really sent. Now you have to think about what you're going to reply with, and you're kind of all doing that, all three things real time. So that gets to be a little tricky for a beginner.
Thank you.
You had another comment?
Yeah, when it comes to the CW, he was right about that when it comes to the sending part. If you have any question at all, and even if you don't, what you should do is, in the beginning especially, record your own CW. Play it back to yourself and see if it sounds like what everybody else's is. Because I get a lot of guys that have got a dot to dash ratio of like, instead of 3 to 1, it's a 2 to 1 thing. So the dash is much shorter than the dot. And that makes it more difficult to copy. The faster you can copy all depends on the quality of what's being sent to you. So if you normally could copy 40 words a minute and somebody's got a terrible fist, maybe your limit's only 20 or 25 because you've got a lot of interpretation to do on that. And this is all in your head. And you have to be able to bank a certain number of letters in your head to be conversational. But at some particular point, the letters go away and it becomes words. And then even faster becomes more like phrases. It becomes common things that you send. And what I've found, the faster you send, the less abbreviations you want to use. Because then the complete word is easier to copy for somebody at the higher speeds than the abbreviations. Like at slower speeds, I might send GG for going. But at 40 words a minute, I would send GOING. So that's more easily readable by whoever it is that's listening to it.
Right.
And also there is no designer CW. It's 3 to 1. I don't care what your keyer is possible of. It is a 3 to 1 ratio between dash and dot.
No Lake Erie swing anymore on the bug? Anyway. So, yeah, and that's advanced stuff. When you're starting out, don't worry too much. I often tell people, if your goal is 50 words a minute head copy, go for it. But you can do a lot of QSOs at 12, 15 words a minute and work DX and all sorts of stuff without having to be an expert. There are no CW police. You're not going to get complaints about your poor fist or anything. And as long as you're having fun, that's the point. If this was work, they should be paying us. That's what I say. Yeah.
I became a Life member a while ago, but for the last couple of years, Life has gotten in the way, and I know there's a lot more Zoom rooms than there was the last time I did it. So how would I get the passcodes or whatever I need for the new rooms?
Did you get a Life membership?
Yes.
Email Howard and tell him you have the Life membership and to put you back on the email list or whatever. Because in Groups.io, we send out a schedule like every day for the day and the week, and then it's just a link like Zoom A where I teach, and you just have to click on the link for BC1. When do I do that? Joe's at 6 o'clock on Mondays. Yeah. Yeah, and all of the times are in Eastern time, so I'm always having to subtract 2 and stuff. It's just because it started there, they just stuck with that, and the change would confuse 6,000 people. Though they usually post the UTC time along with that if you're more UTC oriented. Any other questions?
How many members do you have internationally?
I don't know. I haven't seen that breakdown. I know we have 6,000 total, and I think 65 countries are my notes. So a lot of them are Europe and stuff. And like I said, now we're teaching in Spanish. So, Puerto Rico is part of the United States, but we have instructors in Puerto Rico and Mexico and stuff that are teaching English Morse code in Spanish, if you will, and so forth. But we have folks in Australia, I know, that are teaching classes, and we have some in Southeast Asia too. But I don't know the breakdown by country or even kind of geographic area. But it's just like I said, without any foresight or whatever, it's just sort of spread, that we have 6,000 members. So, and I think particularly if you're interested, the lifetime membership isn't that expensive, $90. I don't know what's ARL probably hits you up for $1,000 or more, I suppose, for lifetime. Only if you ask for the print. If you get, the print GST.
ARL used to be 20 times yearly. So I got it for $300 when I did it about 40 some odd years ago.
Okay. Anyway, that kind of covers the high points. I'll hang around if you just want to chat some more, and we can sort some stuff around. I'll let you hit end recording. Oh wait, Joe's up. He's got something to say.
All right, it's on. The one thing that I take away from this, and I'll be honest with you, I've been to 2 or 3 of these different organizations other than this, is the code talk. And what I got out of that is when you're out walking or doing something like that, you see a sign. If you can code talk that sign, that just kind of keeps it in your mind. And you're the one who taught me that, by the way.
Oh, I learned it from someone else. In fact, when I was a kid, we'd spell license plates out, when you're sitting at the stoplight. And I mentioned that to other classes, and one of the women in the class said, you're just encouraging distracted driving. So now I say, if you're stopped, you can spell a street sign out. I don't want to encourage distracted driving.
Yeah, well, if you're driving, that's not the way. If you're out walking someplace, that's fine.
Or if you're the passenger.
Like exit, I don't know what X is, but I know the rest of them. So,
well, that's something for you to work on.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon on that. I operate CW rolling down the road, Joe.
Yeah,
that would be that would be da 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 dit to you.
What was that, Bob? No, really, if you're even interested in it, it's worth going to these things. I'd be honest with you. These guys are really great, and I've learned a lot. I know what E and T and S is now.
You got 2 of them.
I got 2 yet. T, E.
Exactly.
I should know S and O. Right? But no, really, if you're really interested, this is a good way to know how to do it.
Yeah.
And they're very, very. What's very nice about it, when you first walk into these classes, no pressure. I went to another class, and I can't remember where it's at, and I don't want to say the name because I wouldn't know them. They started at 27 words a minute, and I said, and I was talking to Greg about it. He said, "What are they, contesters?" And I said, "I have no idea, but 27 words a minute. You had to practice an hour a day." And there was 2 classes a week, and I just burned out.
Yeah, but you got to be able to get to 27 before you can do 27.
Well, that's what they did. They started out, well, you could go to 25 and then work your way up.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it,
Yeah.
but 12 you can kind of do.
Yeah, and because we teach this in a carousel class, you can join any time. There's other groups that are really good that teach CW, but they start this date, you go to all the classes to that date kind of thing. We've tried to make this super flexible, classes every day of the week, start anytime. If you drop off, you can come back, and jump back on the carousel where you need to. So,
I do recommend you staying for the second half, and I've only done it twice, only because I got meetings afterwards. So, but the second half, it's really more interesting. Now, do you do that? I'm just curious about that. Is that off the top of your head, or is that in your script?
no, we all the instructors have a lesson plan that we follow, so it should be basically the same from class to class.
The second half is too?
Yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, we have a lesson plan
Okay.
for the first and second. We have some optional stuff, and how we teach it is up to each instructor, but it should be the same.
Yeah, he said, what's CO? Or all I know is, he said, yeah, Joe knows what it is. I said, I do? So,
kudos to the webmaster. I mean, looking at that website is just incredible. I mean, it's not easy
amazing.
to put that together.
I know, and if there's something wrong, they seem to fix it right away. After you're done, you can have a voice recap, so you can check your work. And you can pick the voice you want because it's on the computer and stuff. So if you want some Spanish-speaking lady, you could probably, if you've got that voice set in your computer. But yeah, like I said, the website's incredible for designing lessons, and we've come up with the homework. Typically, we do the familiarity exercise. They picked a word I can hardly pronounce, familiarity. But it'll announce the character and send it 3 times, and then in the gaps between, you should send it. So we're trying to get you completely involved. Typically as humans, we learn sort of 3 ways: with our eyes visually, with our ears, and touch. And so we can't do much with the eyes in Morse code. But we want your ears involved, and if we can get you sending and stuff, more of your body's involved kinesthetically, feeling or understanding. So we try to engage as many of the senses as we can.
Dave, what's the input method from a student back to the website or computer besides keyboard? Is there a way you could hook up a key or a paddle or a keyer?
Most people, I use an outboard oscillator, and just my mic picks it up.
Audio.
Okay. Yeah, and some folks have got audio mixers tied into their computers and other stuff. Some people just use the side tone on the radio. Most radios have the ability to push someplace where you don't transmit, but you can get the side tone and pick it up with their mic.
I'm using
I try to
yours.
do it as simple. I'm one who shaves with Occam's razor, so the simplest solution is the best solution. So
I'm using yours, Dan. I'm using yours, Dan. The one I'm using the oscillator we made in rosin core. You expect me to copy that? What is that? It is? It is? Damn if I knew.
You should know this.
Oh, yeah. SOS. Yeah. What was the, what?
You were saying the class.
Sit on the same.
And also, there's another website, Morse Ninja. I don't know if you've stumbled across it. He's put together a bunch of audio files that match our lesson sequence and the way we teach, so you can listen to those too. So try to take it with you and immerse yourself as much as you can. And that's the way to do it. You got to get it soaked in there so you hear it and know it.
It's well worth trying it if you're even slightly interested in it. And $30.
I should have stood next to him.
Just do it. I mean, it's well worth it, and I think it's very interesting. And his classes, like I said, he's got 30 or 40 people in these things on Monday nights from 6 o'clock. So,
Yeah.
And they do have international instructors also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one that's ahead of you, he's from England, isn't he?
Australia.
Australia. Okay.
VK5. So, and I'll leave these brochures here.
Anything else for us before we adjourn? Okay, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Okay.
This presentation was brought to you by the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club. For more information, visit our website, ncarc.net. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.